I've always wondered what I would do if I had enough money to do whatever I want. Would I live on a tropical island surrounded by everything I love and not be concerned about anything else but to have a good time? Or will I build an innovative company and try to conquer the stars through innovation and new technology? Or maybe create a business that will span the entire world and bring me more endless amounts of money for me and my future generations? Well, I know what I wouldn't do. I would not be making the Rings of Power. Greetings, ladies and gents, my name is Hyozo, the bearded Balkan blabbermouth, and I am discussing, and today we will be talking about the Rings of Power. I've now had a long relationship with that particular adaptation of Lord of the Rings lore and characters, and it is not exactly a love-hate relationship, but it's entirely purely hatred towards this abomination. And seeing that somehow this refuses to die, we need to talk about it. But before this video continues, please press that like button, press the subscribe button if you enjoy my content, and become a member of the channel. Your membership helps me grow as a channel and helps homeless animals and animals in shelters get the care that they need through food, medication, and all the things that they desperately need, and we can provide through your modest contributions. Thank you very much, and now back to the video. Now, I wouldn't exactly call the Rings of Power an adaptation of Tolkien, simply because it does not deserve it. What this is an overly expensive fan-made project made entirely to subvert people's expectations and knowledge about any adaptation of the books, and try to bury what we already have, which is a great trilogy of movies, a less great trilogy of Hobbit movies from the book before The Lord of the Rings, and now trying to remove all of that by rewriting the story that was written way before by greater men than the creators of the show. But sadly, this is what you can easily do when you're someone in the position of possessing fuck you money. Now, the term fuck you money means exactly what you're seeing on the screen: having enough wealth to walk away from any job, boss, or bad situation instantly, and the key ideas are total freedom, no fear, and peace of mind. The sad thing about this is that fuck you money also lets you do entirely whatever the fuck you want. You can build anything, you can make anything, you can fund anything that you like, and you don't have to worry about the consequences. And sadly, this is the case with Rings of Power. The entire premise of this show is that they're taking a creative, in very big quotation, approach of what was written way before them and what was created throughout time. Now, they don't have the access to the full story and materials to retell the Silmarillion. Thank you, Tolkien Estate, for that majorly smart decision. But they do have access to the appendixes and some of the story, and basically they're going with that and just winging everything else. Yeah, the greatest fantasy story ever told in the history of mankind, and you're just going to wing it and just use whatever little you have the only way you like it, without any respect to the source material. Great job. Now, one of the contradiction scenes in this trailer and in season 3 entirely is that the Balrog has actually met Sauron and they duke it out within the season. And as you can see on the screen, this actually looks incredible, as Kane Wolf down in the comments of this post says this looks incredible. However, it's narrative nonsense. And this, yes, does look actually good in and of itself, I will admit that. However, this hasn't happened in the lore and has never even happened in the books and never mentioned in even. To this we turn to a account by the name of High King Fëanor, Alpha Chat of Middle Earth. I like High King Fëanor because he does have a lot of stuff to say about season 3, and he is a very huge Tolkien nerd and very well versed in the lore from what I have seen. He speaks about this post with the following: let's explain why this is so laughably wrong. Sauron never interacted with the Balrog that was under the Misty Mountains. He likely didn't even know the thing was there until the dwarves were driven from Khazad-dûm, and even then he chose to just leave it alone. Oh, and the dwarves weren't driven out of Khazad-dûm until several thousand years after the forging of the rings. Well, into the Third Age, in fact. Morgoth's crown was beaten into a collar for Morgoth's neck after the War of Wrath. Sauron never possessed it. this is something that was brought up extensively during the abysmal second season of Rings of Power, but it's worth reiterating here. Throughout the entirety of the second age and well into the third, the Balrog was asleep under the mountains. He played no part in any of the events of the second age. Now this is the part where a lot of Rings of Power shills like to go and say, well, why are you just keeping to the lore? But the lore can be interpreted differently. There are amendments, there are different stories, you can interpret it however you like. Well, no, you have actual lore. You have Tolkien that has told the story through numerous books, stories, addendums, appendixes, and whatnot, and none of them mentions what has happened so far in the Rings of Power. The closest you have is some of the people having a very vague resemblance. For instance, Celebrimbor, which is just the slightest resemblance to what Celebrimbor was, which was utterly destroyed throughout the second season. Galadriel, on the other hand, is nothing like the Galadriel from the lore, because she wasn't such a warrior, she wasn't the girl boss that they're presenting, and she wasn't a warlord or whatever. High King Fëanor continues with this. Just so everyone knows, the Balrog was asleep under the Misty Mountains when Sauron forged the ring. Here's a map of reference with two emojis, the sleeping emoji with Balrog and angry emoji with Sauron, and you can see exactly how far are they, and if that actually, this is the path of the Fellowship of the Ring, so you can easily guess where each thing is. Another post from High King Fëanor says, we have to talk about this before I log back in. Orcs, canonically, are disgusting, heinous, evil creatures. No elf would ever join an orc or a quest or vice versa. Elves and orcs hate each other, and I mean hate each other. But in Rings of Retards, Galadriel is going to have an orc bestie who she pals around with. In the reply below are some artistic representations of how orcs and elves interact with one another in Middle-earth. And these are artistic representations. This is a war that they're going against elves versus orcs. This is an orc beheading an elf. If I'm not mistaken, this is from the Silmarillion, and this speaks for itself. The post itself depicts that an orc will be joining the party of diverse elf cast with Don Lemonless, as Nerdrodic has coined them, and an orc that will just be with them, which shouldn't be possible. Now, in terms of everything, it is important to say that yes, interpretations and adaptations do have some free leeway to go. The movies did, the Lord of the Rings trilogy did use some freedoms and did mess around with some characters, lore, and stuff like that, but it never strayed from the main lore. It just embellished it, just tweaked it a little, or just made it a little bit more interesting for the screen. It never changed what actually happened. Whereas the Rings of Power completely destroys every lore narrative, and they do it with the intent to destroy it. They don't do it accidentally, because you don't do 3 seasons of this shit without actually concerning yourself with the lore and being in your mind to do what you're doing in terms of filmmaking. Logically, this trailer has already been reshoot in the 4 days that it has been out. It has 26,000 likes with 32,000 dislikes, and there's one more dislike for me. And to top of that, we have Total Film, which is just one of the outlets that have ran this story in the past several days, which just says the following with its title. The Rings of Power showrunner says viewers can start the Lord of the Rings show from season 3. Wow. If that doesn't ring of desperation, I don't know what else. They're basically telling you, well, yeah, we know we did 2 bad seasons and people are angry. Well, you don't have to watch it. Just watch this one. It's good, okay? Okay, we promise. It is crazy what you can do when you have all the money in the world, and when you're the boss of Amazon and you're making billions upon billions upon billions of dollars, spending 1 billion plus on a show like this that doesn't return your profits in any, spending 1 billion on a show like this that doesn't return your spent money in any way possible is just a drop in the ocean. I'm sure that they have already parted with the money that they already gave the show easily, and they'd have no concerns about it. They don't do this for any profit. They do this just to destroy the narrative and create a new bubble to control it. They want to be the ones who tell the story, and they want to tell it their way. They want to tell it the woke way. They want to tell it the girl boss way. And they want to actually humiliate Tolkien's legacy, because Tolkien's legacy is actually good. It actually puts them in place, and it does not serve the modern agenda. That is their entire plot, and that's only what they want to do. I'm sure that they would want to make movies, they would want to make a new trilogy, they would want to adapt more and more, and probably they will be able to do so in one instance at a certain point in time. However, it is important that we do not let them do this without damage. I am sure that nothing will last forever, sadly, and at a certain point history will be changed. However, we do have the books, we do have the original trilogy, and they will live forever with us, and we need to keep them alive as fans. And this is one more battle in this day and age that it is worth fighting for. But anyways, that's all I have for this video today. Thank you very much for watching. Tell me what you think. Did you watch the trailer? Are you going to watch Rings of Power Season 3? Tell me what you think of the first 2 seasons. Tell me your thoughts down in the comments below and tell me what you think. Please like and share this video, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to help me grow and want to help homeless animals and animals in shelters with medical supplies, with food, with care that they need, and possible adoptions that we're trying to facilitate, please consider becoming a member of the channel. The subscription starts from something like $50 and it will be a great help with every one of you. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Helzo, this was DiscussThing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers and stay fresh.